If this video popped up on your feed, it's for one of two reasons. One, you're either looking to build an SPR, or two, you just went out, you bought all the parts, and you're wondering what to do next. In this video, I'm gonna break down the proper way to put your SPR together step by step. And yes, there is a proper way. If this is your first time here at the channel, my name is Justin Jackson. I'm a retired Special Forces Green Beret. And today I'm gonna be breaking down the way that I was taught to put a rifle together. I've been doing this YouTube channel now for a few months, and recently we just hit our subscriber goal of 2,500. Over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks, I've got a lot of videos planned out for you guys, and I've got a new subscriber goal that I'm trying to hit by the end of September, which is 5,000 subscribers. So if you guys get any value out of this video or you like what you see, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and spreads the word. Since stepping away from active duty service, I started a company called Snake Eater Ranch. This company, we train civilians, law enforcement, military on specific firearms courses and tactics. And one of the courses that we teach is a scoped carbine course specifically catered to people with SPRs. It is the only course that we teach that is a 2-day long course. One, because it's our favorite subject is cadre, but two, because I think it's the most applicable weapon system, I guess you'd say, for civilians. When we started doing these scoped carbine courses, we decided that on the first day, we really wanted to take a decent amount of time and go over how to set up your SPR properly. Because if you don't do it properly, it can be a little bit harder to shoot. You really don't want to be working against your gun. You want it to kind of be an extension of your body. And what I found is that during this first day, when we'd be going over the principles that I'm going to teach you guys here in this video, I found that a lot of guys didn't know this. So I hope today, as you guys watch this video, you get some value out of it, find some new information that you can then take home and maybe make some changes on your setup to make it so it really fits your body perfectly and you're not fighting against your weapon to be an accurate shooter. All that being said, let's jump into the first point, which is your length of pull. Now, it's important that you follow this in order, okay? With length of pull, what we're looking to do is rest the buttstock of our weapon in the crook of our elbow like so. The goal with this is that we want to find a point where our trigger finger naturally rests on the trigger. We don't want our hands so far forward that we're digging our finger in, but we also don't want our hands so far back that we're really having to reach with our finger in order to get it to naturally rest on the trigger. Where you specifically like your trigger finger to rest on the trigger is up to you. Personally, where I like it is right above this first joint. So on our finger here, we have this first joint. And if you feel up here, you have a lot of kind of flesh and blood and mushiness. But if you move down just slightly right above that first joint, you'll notice you have a little pad there that's kind of tough. That's where I like my trigger finger to rest. So when I'm doing length of pull, I like it to be resting right there perfectly, right above that first joint. Now you'll notice my stock is only pulled out twice. It's gonna be different for everybody because everybody has a different body and a different gun. I have the Arisaka adapter here on the back of my stock. You know, this is a Magpul CTR, but if it was just a regular Magpul CTR, maybe I would have it extended further. But because this adds so much length to the back of my stock, I only need it extended twice in order to get that perfect length of pull for me. Another thing that I want to mention before we move on to any other steps is that these are all good starting points, right? That length of pull, when you get it, you're gonna get it as close as you can to that perfect point. But remember, this is a starting point. If you have to make some minute adjustments, that's okay. The second thing that you're going to do to set up your rifle is your eye relief. And what I mean by this is positioning your scope perfectly on the rifle so that one, you don't get any scope bite when the gun recoils and the scope hits you in the face, but two, also that you have a full field of view. There's a couple theories with this. Some people like to purposely have scope shadow in their scope. Other people, like myself, like to make sure that there's no scope shadow in the scope. Whatever team you're on, it doesn't really matter. Just pick one and stick with it. Now, this is a step where it really helps to have a partner. You don't have to have one, but I think it helps. What I want you guys to do is get in the prone behind your rifle, and I want you to have your scope resting on the Picatinny rail, but I don't want you to tighten your screws. Essentially, what it should look like is you in the prone position, looking through your scope, and your partner either picking the scope up and moving it forward or backward to the point where you either have no scope shadow or that little bit of scope shadow that you want, depending on what team you're on. The goal here is that when you get behind your gun and you're in your natural point of aim, that perfect prone position, your eyes naturally fall into the scope and you're not having to do a bunch of turkey necking forward, backward, up, down, left, right. For what you guys need to do for setting up your SPR is your comb height. Or in other words, how to get that perfect cheek weld to your stock. So from here, I want you guys to get into the prone position and get behind your rifle. And what we're looking for, if your rifle allows for it, because some won't, is to make any adjustments here where your cheek is going to be welded to the stock and either raise it or lower it so that when you rest behind that gun in your natural point of aim, not fighting up or down to try to get into your scope. You want to have a very natural point of aim. When you get into the prone position and you put your head where it feels comfortable on that stock, that everything is lined up perfectly. Now, a side note that I'll throw in there for your cheek weld, it doesn't have to be perfect. The reason I say that it doesn't have to be perfect is because an SPR is a fighting gun. We're not always gonna be shooting this gun in the prone position. Sometimes we're gonna be shooting it standing unsupported. Other times we might be shooting it kneeling from a modified prone position. We need some level of wiggle room so that we can shoot comfortably or semi-comfortably from all of these positions. In fact, you'll notice with my rifle, I don't even have anything on here to adjust the cheek weld. One, because the CTR is actually perfect for where I want my cheek to rest. But two, I personally like to keep my SPRs a little bit more slim, particularly in the stock area. If you find that you are fighting to get into that scope and you have a stock similar to the SPR, there are things that you can buy, like cheek risers that attach on and kind of clip on here. You can also do kind of the poor man's technique and use foam or cardboard and kind of duct tape it or electrical tape it on to get that perfect height. The next thing you need to do is your diopter adjustment. When it comes to doing your diopter adjustment, I think it's helpful to have a partner there with you, whether it's a friend, your wife, girlfriend. The only job that they need to do is to take a white piece of paper. So for the time being, let's just say this blue paper towel represents the white piece of paper. They're gonna hold it directly in front of the objective lens of your scope. The reason for this, and the reason you want it to be white, is because it's going to really make your reticle pop because your reticle is black. Now, it's important that when they're holding this white piece of paper in front of your objective lens, that you're in the prone position and ready to go. I want you to open your eye for about 2 seconds and make the determination if your reticle is clear or if it's blurry. And then I want you to close your eye and take your diopter adjustment and move it to the left or to the right about 1/4 inch. And I want you to keep going in that direction and continue this process. They hold the paper, you close your eyes, take a deep breath, open them up, look for about 2 seconds, and then close your eyes again. Make the adjustment, make the adjustment, make the adjustment. And I want you to do that until your reticle looks blurry. That way we know that we're kind of need to walk it back. We're gonna kind of bracket this thing in. And then I want you to do the same process, but going the opposite way until, again, it gets blurry. Then you know that there's those 2 points that you're somewhere in between them. Then you can start walking it back. The reticle looks perfectly clear. The first step to this whole process is you need to, 1, set your parallax adjustment to infinity, and then you need to pick the magnification level that you're going to do your diopter adjustment at. Now, if you go online, there's gonna be a lot of different theories or beliefs for where you should have your magnification when you're doing your diopter adjustment. Some people are gonna tell you, and this is kind of the most popular belief, to magnify all the way in because it's gonna make your reticle as big as possible. Therefore, you can see the minor detail changes in how clear your reticle looks when you're adjusting your diopter. My personal belief is that I actually like to take my magnification down to the bottom 1/3 of magnification. Okay, so for example, this scope is a 2x12. I usually do my diopter adjustment at about 4 to 5 mag. The reason for that is because that's the magnification that I'm mainly shooting this rifle at. It's the magnification I use the most often. And so for me, I want that to look the clearest it could possibly look, as opposed to magging all the way in, which I almost never do when I'm shooting this rifle. I'm not saying my way is right and the other way is wrong. I've used both of them in the past. This is just the way I prefer, but you really can't go wrong with either way. Now, once you've got your diopter set perfectly the way you want it, and that reticle looks really crisp and clear, I want you guys to take a paint marker and I want you to mark the spot on your scope as well as on the adjustment to where that perfect point is. Some of you guys might have like a night force scope that allows you to use a locking ring to lock in that diopter adjustment. But if you're using something like a Vortex, Leupold, or here, this Vector, it may not allow you to lock it in place. And even with the night force, that locking cap comes loose quite often. And so having a reference point so you can always turn back to that perfect diopter adjustment is really important. All right, now if you guys have done those steps in order, your gun should be set up as a perfect extension to your body. There's an emphasis here that everyone's body and everyone's gun is different, and so setting them up in a way that fits you is really important. The next step to this process would be to go out and to zero your gun at 100 meters. That's something that I'm gonna go over in a future video. If you guys found any value in this video or you learned something new, put it in the comments below. I wanna hear what you guys' thoughts are. If you guys do this a different way, I'd also like to hear the way you guys do it. I'm open to new ideas. If you guys haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. In the past like 2 weeks, the channel's kind of blown up, which is super cool. And I know that's a relative term, but I mean, the fact that I went from like 2,300 subscribers to now over 3,500 is pretty crazy to me. For the next 2 months, we're gonna be putting out about 2 to 3 long form videos a week. So if you guys wanna be here for that, you guys wanna kind of see the information I'm putting out, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna try to give you guys videos that actually bring you value. I do tend to talk a little bit too much in my videos, so I'm trying to taper that back. But the reason for that is because I don't just wanna give a bunch of like bullcrap information to you guys and use big words. I like to break things down the simplest way possible and kind of just get to the meat and potatoes of it for how do we do this properly and what should this look like when it's all said and done. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Last thing, if you guys haven't already, you should go and follow my Instagram. Here on YouTube, it's a lot of informational videos, but if you're interested kind of in my personal life here on the farm, with work, etc., go and follow my Instagram. It's at @TheMormonMarauder on Instagram, and I will see you guys later. Peace.